In this video, I'm going to talk about me being on the fence about Pulver in Canada, about him being better or not to Trudeau. I think most people agree and know that Trudeau is a train wreck. I don't think anyone's going to actively defend him, but whether or not someone else is going to be better is another question entirely. Now, you look at NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. He seems out of touch, to be honest. The dental plan, great. I think it's a win. It's a small win, but the big pressing issue is housing. And I don't know what can be done there. I'm not an economist. I believe part of this is an age problem. Baby movers that had these jobs are now retiring. People are immigrating to fill these jobs, which creates more, with more need for new houses, which adds to the crisis, and it just loops. So I'm not sure how you fix either of those things. Young people who either are working these remote jobs, or they have their own company, or probably some of them are lazy and don't want to. I'm not sure about that. I think that's overblown by conservative right-wing thinkers. I think it's always been overblown. And I think if you go to any job site, there's going to be kind of like a high school cool table type thing of guys who kind of just stand around for 3 hours drinking and they don't really do work. So I think the 40-hour work week in itself is not productive, and I don't know how to solve that either. But to look at his campaign face value, Pierre's, he says Trudeau's had 9 years and has done nothing for housing, which is true. It doesn't mean that he can get it done, though. And that's one of the problems I'm having with his pitch, is because Trudeau sucks, but I don't think he's incompetent in the ways that people think he is. I think he's incompetent in a lot of ways, but I think there's nothing that could line his pockets to keeping housing low. I can't see a conspiracy being there to keep no shovels in the ground. So I don't think Pierre can just come in first year and build 2 million homes. I don't think he can do that. But I think he's definitely highlighting a lot of anger that people have, and I'm not sure about his tax policies either. He keeps saying that the working class are getting taxed to death. And I mean, if you have a small mom and pop shop, you probably are getting taxed to death at least a little bit if you're not bringing in a solid amount of money, and there is crime and there is vandalism and there is many things. But I don't think that's a tax issue. I think that's an economy issue. I think that's a corporation issue. I think that's people getting pushed out of business by Amazon, by Walmart, by whoever. I don't think you're going to get more business if you're taxless. Like, what are you thinking? You're going to get taxed a little less, and you're going to use that money for advertising, and then some guy's going to come to your store and buy these dog shoes, these clown shoes for dogs that your grandmother knitted for $5,000. Like, if your business model sucks, your business model sucks. And Amazon, Jeff Bezos is an idiot. Well, not an idiot. That's a Freudian slip. I don't like him, but he's not a good guy, but he has a good business model. You're not going to compete with that unless the government comes and says, "Hey, this is all fucky here." And that's what China does. Like, China has a strong centralized government, and if they have monopolies formed, the government goes and breaks it up. And that's one of the reasons why dictatorship in places like China work, is they actually sometimes have a point. And Pulvera can't do that. These companies that are driving the mom and pop shops out of business aren't even Canadian companies. They're all over the world. A lot of them are American. The only big company in Canada is Pornhub. So I don't see how the tax cut is going to fix that. The carbon tax thing, I mean, the carbon tax, I don't agree with the carbon tax. I think it's excessive. I think keeping gas prices low is going to help me, help my neighbors, help everybody. It's going to keep shipping costs lower, so building materials can be shipped around easier. That I agree with. Axe the tax for the carbon tax, sure, but giving tax breaks to wealthy people, I don't think is great. Not supporting unions isn't great. I believe he supported anti-strike laws back in the day. That's not great. He gives a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of lies. Typical politician stuff. Trudeau does that as well. Did the blackface thing, and then he wants to be anti-racism. It's the hypocrisy of the drama teacher liberal at its best. There's a French company that was building crappy bridges and was embezzling money that he was tied to as well. He's been doing the Jamaican vacations when people are starving, basically. I mean, he's taking like the right-wing libertarian approach sometimes, as he just takes his hands off the wheel and just goes and lets things handle themselves. And I think the CBC thing, the news giving the state media like a stronger state media with tax money, I think that's stupid too. I think Pulver has a point there. I don't think we need to be taxed to pay for the media. I think free media, long form media, podcasting can do better. The problem with that is you have the conspiracy theorists that come around. I had some guy telling me that they're going to tax you for breathing at the gym now. It's going to be called the gym tax or something. And he wasn't even saying it as a joke. He was saying it dead serious. I don't know if he was just a corrupt asshole that has a business that's been taxed, that he wants to spread misinformation, if he actually is an imbecile that believes a meme on the internet. He seemed like a scumbag, to be honest. I think the tax rates are actually relatively decent. I paid taxes. I didn't get a refund this year. I'm not bitter about it. I mean, the highest tax rate is like 30% or something, and you'd be making like close to $1 million a year at that point. I don't think that's unreasonable. I believe in a UBI. I think one of the things that conservatives do wrong is they attack the working class, but then they spare the kulaks, so to speak. And I'm not saying you should punish the kulaks. That's what Stalin did and caused millions of people to die. But there's these petty bourgeois people that they kind of get lucky. They have a good job, and then they kind of turn their back on people that didn't get lucky and didn't get the good job, and that they don't want to pay taxes either. It's weird. So I don't really trust him, but I don't want Trudeau back either. And Jagmeet Singh isn't an alternative. Jagmeet Singh, like Pierre Pulver, did a pretty just criticism about Jagmeet, which is weird. Like Jagmeet has like these expensive suits. He like drives in like a Mercedes, like, and then he's saying like he's the working class, like hero type. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't sit well. So I think I don't want to vote for anybody. If those are the choices, it's kind of fucked. You look at Danielle Smith in Alberta. Somehow she's going to fix Alberta by building a pipeline through BC and shipping oil to China, and trying to compete with Saudi Arabia and Iran, who use migrant slave labor from India. I heard somebody say that we should nationalize the oil and just make our own and supply our own. I agree with that. That's not what Danielle Smith is saying. She's completely capitalist. She wants to ship her oil to China, and it doesn't make sense. It seems like it's the same thing either side. Conservatives and liberals are both liberals. Republicans and Democrats are both liberals. It's all under liberal order of the thinkings of Adam Smith. It's all from the French Enlightenment. It's not actually different, the two sides. It's a one-party system in both Canada and the US, England as well. So it's a one-party system. And I think touching on people's anger and then turning people against each other so they are at each other's throats, like the bottom of the pyramid is at each other's throats to try to appease the masters when these politicians get handouts and tax breaks and inside trading and all kinds of things. I'm not caught up into the cult of either party. I don't really care about either party. I think a party that needs to care about its citizens should be elected. I don't understand why we don't use the taxes just to build houses and to support people rather than, I guess they're using it on creating more government jobs and giving themselves raises and pensions, and that is strengthening this state. I think a lot of it is a surveillance state. They're putting it to surveillance, more cameras, more security. We don't need that. We don't need a Big Brother camera state. We don't need all this red tape. We don't need all this licensing that you need to apply for. We need easier access to opportunities is what we need. And I think the conservatives look at it wrong when they just say tax, 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 because now they're getting the bottom of the pyramid to get angry about something that doesn't even affect them. It affects their boss or their boss's boss, when we should be looking at freeing up less regulation and maybe hollowing out some of these government jobs. The CBC might be nice, and Pulver said that. One of the things in Trudeau's budget was trying a new, you can't ask for more work on your day off thing, and that sounds good, except then you read, it says only government employees, so it's like himself. It's like, what the fuck? It's complete corruption. So I understand Trudeau needs to go, but I already see the shadow and the lies of who's going to replace him. And I already see it in advance. I already see the negatives of it. And then Jagmeet, I don't know how he got to be the NDP guy, because he's asleep at the wheel and he's supposed to be looking out for working class Canadians, and he's completely out of touch. He's wearing these designer suits, he's driving these fancy cars, and he gave crumbs with the dental plan, and no one has houses. People are dying on the street. People are injecting fentanyl. They're stealing copper pipes. It doesn't make sense. And that's another thing with the right wing. It's always punishment. It's always, if someone's a vagrant and they need to steal something, then they should go to prison for a long time. That's where your tax money goes with a conservative, and it's still the working class that pays those taxes. It's not the people he's giving tax breaks to at the top. That's the problem. So it's a lot of frustrations going on. And I don't think vagrancy and this open drug use is actual real crime. I think real crime is what Epstein did, what Hillary Clinton did in the US. I think real crime is white collar crime, where these people aren't paying their taxes, where there's people. I think the crime is people who work hard, but then they take their money, and instead of using it for something positive, they buy a big package of fentanyl from China, they ship it in, and they pump it out on the street. That's a criminal. The people that are using that because they're hopeless and then they steal an iPhone or something, they're not really a real criminal in my eyes. They're just a lost idiot that got screwed over by the government 1,000 times, and that could be your mother, it could be your brother, it could be anybody, and that's not the person you should be shaking your finger at. And like, you see all these we did it Joe videos in the US, like people weren't stealing iPhones before. Like, people have always been stealing stuff. It's just getting recorded and put online now. And it's ridiculous. Maybe the severity of open drug use it increases, the drugs have got harsher, but this is a symptom of the problems that I'm saying. We need to fix our households. We need to do a UBI. We need to go further left, not further right, but we don't need to throw money into these programs where we give it to these government bureaucrats and that the money just disappears and goes nowhere. We need actual, like, community, strong community groups that are funded, and that we need watchdogs, maybe independent ones that volunteer and look. It's a hard job to make democracy work, and dictatorship would be a lot easier and more effective. And the reason why we don't do that is half wants the right dictatorship, half wants the left dictatorship. It would be a civil war, and that's kind of democracy works and functions under the threat of that. And I mean, I don't know how much longer it can go on, because we have social media now, which is both radicalizing our views and splitting our views rapidly, but also making us not fall into propaganda as much. And propaganda might have served a purpose to create a unionized state and country, and now there might have been a silver lining to propaganda we missed out on that's gone now. So I don't know. That's a lot of I don't knows. That's a lot of ideas. This is a long video. No one's going to watch this whole video. I guarantee it. People are going to watch. I think my average retention is about 2 minutes, but if this is 17 minutes long and it's just kind of rambling with my political views kind of incoherently, I think it's going to be like 30 seconds. 5 people will watch this. But I'm going to post it anyways, because why not? Anyways, I hope everyone's having a good day. That's my thoughts on this. And guarantee you, people left as soon as they heard I was talking bad about Pulver. But I'm not really talking bad, because I talked bad about both. And I listed some good things about him. He could be a band-aid solution. Could be get him in. If he does the miracle with the housing, that would be great. But I think he would screw up a lot of other stuff. Maybe if he wants to be like a Kim Jong-un and he wants to give all these tax breaks to his buddies and then send us all to work to build the houses and do the farming. If he wants to be Kim Jong-un, then be a strong man and make it work, then fine, as long as it works. But I doubt it will. So anyways, peace.